Hello, Eve Lorgan here, and I'm here to tell you all about my new book. It's out, and this is what it looks like. The Dark Side of Cupid, Love Affairs, the Supernatural, and Energy Vampirism. And this book, of course, is a sequel to my first book called The Love Bite. Although in the second book, I focus more on anomalous relationship patterns that are believed to be somehow interfered in a paranormal way, where there was either a third-party entity involved in putting the people together, or perhaps there was what I call a paranormal viral factor, for lack of a better term, which is somehow responsible for interfering in an unusual way that causes disruption or emotional highs and lows and unusual paranormal things that happen in the relationship. So in this book, my focus was not alien abductions or investigations of alien abductions, although about nearly 60% of the people involved who reported the cases to me of unusual relationship interference have believed themselves to have had at least one alien visitation in their life. And I guess the reason why I didn't focus on the alien abduction theme like I did in my first book called The Love Bite, is because I believe that this is much larger than the alien abduction phenomena and happens to more people. And there may be more answers to this than simply the alien or extraterrestrial angle. Although I believe that the alien entity aspect is certainly involved in most of the cases, although I do not state that for all the cases in the book or all the ones that I come across in my consulting practice. In fact, I've had many people report things to me over the years that were mostly involved with unusual relationship, paranormal things that happen in the relationship, as if it was set up by entity, an alien, or maybe something that they can't quite describe, but the symptoms of the relationship itself have what I call red flags and identifying features and symptoms, which could mean there's some kind of interference going on, as if it's being set up or disrupted in some way. So in The Dark Side of Cupid, I really focused on several case histories that were divided into 4 different categories, actually 4 or 5, to describe the kinds of things that I come across in my research and in mostly it's counseling and hypnotherapy work. And first and foremost, I actually am a healer and a counselor and like to provide support and that kind of thing to the people who come to me. And I know that investigations and a scientific approach to anomalous phenomena like alien abductions is an important aspect, and this rational approach is used for many alien abduction researchers. And I believe that I didn't want to go that route. I feel that the healing of the individual and the support of them is more important. And I learn much more about the people that way. If they don't think it's an investigation where they have to report their name or anything like that publicly, I get much more information, and I believe that there's a way that I can reveal what I know in a way that doesn't compromise their identities. So that actually most people, if not all of them in the second book, I used a pseudonym and I didn't use the real name or real identity. And so the investigative approach doesn't work well for something that I feel is a spiritual issue and a therapeutic counseling kind of issue. So this is why I did the book the way I did it. So let me go over just a few things while I have a couple of moments to tell you what I defined the dark side of Cupid as having 3 main parameters, which I called the unholy triad of the dark side of Cupid. And this is basically the dark angle of relationship interference. And of course there is a positive aspect that can happen when people come together and believe they're soulmates, but that's not what I'm talking about in this book, so perhaps in my next book. So in the unholy triad of the dark side of Cupid, there's 3 main things that happen, and that is the magical element, which is number 1, the magical supernatural kinds of things that happen, deja vus, precognitive dreams, the sense of portents, synchronicities, and that kind of thing. That's the first main feature. The second main feature is emotional highs and crashing lows, and what I call the emotional manipulation factor, where it feels like it's somehow orchestrated, but you're not sure, and there's a high sense of emotional drama. And the third feature is something I call the emotional manipulation and the psychopathology element. And that is something where it's a little more sinister, where things like an overshadowed entity was reported by one of the partners, as if there was what I call the third-party entity interference taking place that is causing disruption, chaos, or what I believe to be the ultimate aspect of this is a type of energy vampirism that's taking place. So in the book, I describe basically the signs and symptoms of those three main features. And if 2 of 3 of those features are present, then that is the identification that this is a dark side of Cupid relationship. Okay, and so in the book, I also go into four main categories of the type of cases that I came across. And it ranges from the more benign or the less phenomenal to the more dramatic. So the less phenomenal ones is simply where you believe that there's like an emotional or energy vampirism feature going on. And I call that, let's see, supernatural influence and high emotional drama. And then the second category, we would have mythic dramas, spirit guides, and emotional vampirism, where one person was actually channeling some kind of entity, and they were playing as if they were being puppets played out in a mythic drama or theme. It's very unique, but it has happened to definitely several people, and that's why I put it that way. The third category is emotional vampirism and third-party entities, which is actually the most common that I'm getting now in my reports. And that's where one of the partners reports that there's some kind of ghost or interdimensional entity. It could be an alien, it could be a ghost, or it could be what I call the paranormal viral factor, because it's not really identified, but it's certainly sensed in a paranormal way. The fourth category is what I call psychic vampirism, psychopathic partners, and paranormal activity. And these are the ones that experience the most dramatic forms of relationship, not only setups, but disruption, interference, and what I call the psychic vampirism aspect. And they're clearly, you'll be able to understand them when you see them in the book. A couple of the people believe that the partner who was overshadowed by a malevolent entity, or that entity was believed to be the lizard type of figure, or what they call the reptilian, although in some other cases it wasn't quite clear. So that's why in this book it's really not about aliens or reptilians or alien abductions. It's more about how this manifests in relationships, so you can identify it and deal with it and have solutions to something that can cause quite a bit of disruption. This book is actually geared to be an empowerment tool, and also a tool to help us learn how to connect more deeply with our feelings, with our soul divine connection, and how we can learn how to empower ourselves from a simple one-on-one perspective with another individual or with ourselves. And I believe working from this kind of angle, I'm able to help the person become empowered and learn how to draw their own soul power so that they can bypass suffering in this way caused by some kind of paranormal influence. So anyway, I'll probably do another YouTube clip to go into more detail. So I just wanted to show you my new book, and I'm very happy that it's out. It's out in print through Keyhole Publishing, and it's also on Kindle and Barnes & Noble Nook. And thank you very much.